Thank you. At this time, I'd like to yield time to Mike Pence, a representative from Indiana delegation.
Thank the gentlelady for yielding, and I would ask unanimous consent to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, so ordered.
I thank the gentlelady for calling this special order, and I'm very humbled to be able to stand on behalf of the people of Eastern Indiana and express my deepest sympathies to the family and friends of my colleague and my friend, the late Julia Carson. Now, the Bible tells us to mourn with those who mourn and to grieve with those who grieve. And tonight on the floor of the Congress, we gather to do just that, to mourn with the many tens of thousands of grateful constituents who are remembering Julia Carson this week and who owe a debt of gratitude to her for 30 years of service to the people of Indianapolis that they know in their hearts they will never be able to repay. I grieve the passing of Julia Carson for a variety of reasons. First is her service. She will be remembered as a pioneering leader in the state of Indiana. As the first woman and the first African American elected to Congress from Indianapolis, she will be long remembered in Indiana public life. I will remember her throughout my own years in politics and trying to get into politics, seeming to see her contribute first as a state legislator, then as a legendary Center Township trustee in Indianapolis, and then elected to the United States Congress in 1986. She was, and I say with affection, a fierce political competitor and succeeded at everything she tried to do in politics and public service. The gentle demeanor that we are remembering tonight belied a freight train of effectiveness that was Julia Carson. And I experienced that effectiveness, usually on the losing side of an argument. But what I would always find in Julia Carson is that while she was a fierce advocate here on the floor of the Congress for what she understood to be the needs of her district and the obligations of the law and of justice, that walking back to our offices after the fact, I would never fail to be moved by her gentleness and her kindness and her decency, which leads me to the other piece of Julia that I will always treasure, and that was her profound Christian faith. I must tell you, as a cheerful, conservative Republican elected to Congress, having observed her career from afar, I would have told anyone in Indiana that the last person I expected to be friends with in Congress was Julia Carson. She was tough, she was effective, she was liberal. But when I arrived in Congress as a new freshman, she reached out to me. And she reached out to me on the basis of our shared Christian faith. And it was on that foundation that we built a friendship. And we, on occasion, found ways to work together. Working with her to pass legislation authored by another colleague in the chamber today, the Second Chance Act. It would be Julia Carson that would appeal to this House conservative about the needs of breaking the cycle of recidivism and crime that besets so many families in the underserved community. But it would be her heart on that matter that would reach me with the wisdom of the Second Chance Act. And part of her legacy here today will be the success that we've seen that legislation experience this year, and I trust beyond. Let me close simply by remembering every time I would ask her in her infirmity of the last year and a half how she was doing. I don't know how she'd answer the rest of the members here, Madam Speaker, but whenever I would say, Julia, really quietly, how you doing? She would smile in that infirmity and say, I'm blessed by the best. No complaints, no grumbling. Blessed by the best will be her legacy in my heart to know that as I have the privilege of serving here, whatever the condition in which I serve, that I would understand He who placed me here. I think of that great verse, and I don't know what the pastor will say at Eastern Star Saturday. My wife Karen and I will be there, as I know most of this chamber would wish to be at her funeral. I don't know what the pastor of that great church will say, but when I think of Julia Carson, I think of that mandate that we are called to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with our God. The Julia Carson that I remember tonight, and that I will always remember throughout my years in public service, did justice as she understood it. She loved kindness, even to those with whom she differed. And every day she was here, she walked humbly in the service to the people of Indiana. And for that, we as a state and this nation will be eternally grateful. And I yield back.